first time live streaming on YouTube, so I'm just testing this essentially. But what I wanted to look at in this is I wanted to look at some recruiting. So the first thing I want to do is look at maybe why should you consider anything that I'm saying? And I'm not saying listen to me, I'm just saying consider. This is a terrible start. I'm going to cut all this. All right. So we're going to look at recruiting today. We're going to look at how to rebuild teams, really, and some things that I have learned in trying to rebuild Akron in an online dynasty. So first thing, let's look at the coaching contracts, because year one, when I took over, we were 5-7. That was the default roster for the game. The next year, we stayed at 5-7. I had a lot of people transfer out at receiver and so on and so forth, and it made it tough to really take a step forward. Last year, we were 8-5, and we were 2-2 against the user teams we played. So that contributed to 2 of our 5 losses, and then the other 3 were by 7 points. 3 points, I believe, and 1 point. So, like a combined 11 points in the other 3 games total. So they were all close games, and we're looking to take a bigger step forward this year, just because of our roster and how it has improved. So if you look at what we got with some of the members, you got us at a 90 overall, and like I said, this is the start of year 4 for the Dynasty. You got Bowling Green, and they're coming off a national championship. So that's what their roster looks like. Buffalo, Northern Illinois, and then Central Michigan. And those are the user teams within the conference. And then I wanted to show you guys as well, just again for reference. So Akron, we're starting out at 71. Our blue chip ratio, which is 4- and 5-star players as a percentage on the roster, is at 9%. Okay, so let's look at like Bama, for example. There's a 62%. Okay, now let's look at Buffalo. Buffalo is 10%, so they're just barely above Akron. Central Michigan, 15%. A little bit more above Akron. I skipped Bowling Green. Sorry about that. 25%. Bowling Green and Northern Illinois have been able to recruit a little bit better than the rest of us, and Central Michigan's had a good year or 2 run in there as well. But with Northern Illinois, they are 30%. Okay? So now let's look. I'm only going to look at my roster just because I know kind of what I've recruited. For some of them, I could sit here and say, oh, this is this caliber player, this is whatever. So the running back, he started on the roster. All right. I moved him from receiver. As you can tell, he's number 81. He just went up $1 million, and he was not going to get much playing time at receiver for me this year. So we said we'll move him, see if he can get drafted, get him out of here, and maybe that'll increase pro potential and such. This guy transferred in from Alabama, another quality player. This is one of our recruits, okay? That was a 3-star free safety, or not free safety, 3-star physical receiver, I believe, that we moved to free safety. How he ended up with a 99 strength, I'm not really sure, because I only remember him playing strong safety for 2 years, and then we moved him to middle linebacker because we were like, oh, this dude he's a little different. He's 193 pounds, so not a very big linebacker, but he's height-wise, he's huge, and then he has a lot of interesting things, such as that 99 strength. I think he's a 92 zone coverage after the boost from like the coaching, like trees or whatever I can't even think of what they're called right now. I'd have to go look and see. And then you see the physical traits, robber, house call, bouncer. This is a 4-star guy we recruited as a defensive end. He was a power rusher defensive end. We played him last year. I think he had like 7 sacks at DN. Moved him to D's tackle to let him do his thing. I believe this was a 3-star pass protector that we recruited. transfer guy, another physical receiver, I believe, transfer guy, power rushing running back, 3-star that we moved over, another 3-star recruit who was a run-stopping linebacker. We moved him because I didn't like his speed, honestly, on the outside. So we moved him into the middle. So hopefully his speed won't matter as much. He'll fight off a block and maybe stop some things in the middle of the field. Transfer from Tennessee. And then a 3-star recruit, agile center. So, and then when we moved him off the center position, he became like power and then all of a sudden pass protector. And that's the way he is. Some of these other guys were already on the roster. We're still not through everyone who was on our roster. And so we have a mix, like I said, of people. Like a couple of those were transferred. So he's a freshman, 4-star that came in. But we moved him from quarterback, a 3-star quarterback, scrambler, and put him at fullback. So, I mean, we got a few different pieces here and there from some different spots. And like I said, a lot of transfer people. But what have I learned from recruiting in the first few years is, number one, don't be afraid to go after the 4 and 5 stars that you have available, because either you'll know pretty quick you have no chance at them, or you'll be able to actually have a chance because you can probably get more than you think. I was thinking in year one that I would have no chance of being able to get some 4 and 5 stars, and I wish, obviously, I think it said we're at 9%. We started with maybe one person on the whole roster that was a 4 or 5 star player. So we were able to kind of get a few people in. So I would say definitely try and recruit 4 and 5 stars, because it increases your recruiting class. It increases like what their overall is going to start at, and it also gives you a better chance at some of those development traits. So that's important. But I think also what's important, and we're going to try this, which is going to the prospect list. We're going to go to 3 stars, and we're just going to start bouncing positions. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at any recruits that have us at first. So I know field generals, a lot of people say they develop the best and everything else. He also has a deal breaker. I prefer athletes who are scrambler types, and that's the only one I have of that. I'm not even going to go after this guy. His proximity to home is a deal breaker, and I mean, he's literally from Cleveland, and we're in Akron. But at this time, I don't think I want to use the 5 points to try and get him, because I think that if he doesn't work out at quarterback, then I'm stuck with him, and then I got to get rid of him. Whereas the athlete, I can move him around to a few different positions. At running back, I thought about possibly doing, getting a power back or something like that, but I can't move him to defensive end like I moved that other power back. So I'm going to stay away from that. At receiver, we got physical, route runner. So probably not going to give too many offers yet, because, again, no athletes, and I like to move around some people. At tight end, though, we have an athlete possession guy, and I have moved a possession guy to linebacker, and I didn't mind that, so we will offer him, because we'll have a chance to move him around. Now, offensive line, a little weird. I think I'm going to take anyone as long as they don't have a deal breaker that I hate. Playing time, that's a little iffy right now. It says A+. We'll put him on the board, but I'm going to remember him just in case I don't love that. We're going to put Henderson on there. Championship contender, I don't think we're going to go down from 70-something at this point. If this was earlier in the Dynasty, maybe I consider it, but I don't think we're going down. So we'll put him on there. Agile, we're going to add him. We're going to add him, and we'll add him. No deal breakers right there, so we got all 3. The reason why I'm avoiding deal breakers is honestly because I don't want to like this one. He's coming in as a JUCO already. I don't want to have to worry about if my coaching prestige goes down to try and convince this guy to stay, so I'm not going to do that. He has no deal breaker and has us first. And then he has a deal breaker of a proximity to home. Well, Akron, Ohio is not leaving Akron, Ohio. Like, it's going to be the same, so we're going to get him. Then we're going to take a peek at D end, but I'm not typically someone like, see, he's 6'2", 238, 6'2", 230, 6'1", 272. That one's a little more interesting because technically I could move him possibly to like a D tackle. And then 6'5", 271, I could certainly probably move him to D tackle. Power rusher, can move him to D tackle most likely. Let's see, what do we want to do? We've put 12 people on the board already. I think I'm gonna come back to them, potentially hold out the spots. No one at D tackle. At outside linebacker, we got a run stopper. That's Coach Prestige. Power rusher, run stopper. And see, he's playing time. We're pretty good at getting tackles for loss, so I think that's going to be fine. I'm probably going to go ahead and put this guy on as the power rusher. 6'2", 25. We do need some linebackers. I'll go ahead and do that, especially since I didn't do any of the defensive ends right there. There was fewer of those. Nothing for the linebacker guys. Free safety, we're going to take the one we get. And then the same thing, if there's anything at strong safety, we'll take them, even though run support, I prefer zone. But I don't mind run support. So, and then what we're going to do, Ramsey still says A+. I'm going to offer him for now, and we're going to see what happens. But I just want to see if we're going to get any of these people to commit and give us, some guys in week one, and we may not get anyone. We'll see. There we go. We got a right tackle, power. So we got one. We got two now, two right tackles. And it makes it easy on us because we're not going to have to recruit offensive linemen maybe as heavy as we would have beforehand. So that changes it up a little bit on what I have to be worried about for the rest of the year, because I'm also going to have to replace punter, kicker, and then I'm going to have to get some other people as well. So that makes it simple and easy on me. Part of me wonders if I should consider getting those, what's it called? Those defensive linemen, but I think I'm going to wait on those. I mean, we went through a good bit. And I don't know, maybe some people disagree with that strategy, but that's what we like, what we're going to do. And then, let's see, I want to look at 5 stars. And I'm really looking at anyone who doesn't have us locked out. Like, okay, that one seems like he has an offer, most likely from one of the users, of course. Just like this dude has 4 offers. Well, that sounds like someone I don't need to go after, right? But this guy, Scrambler, proximity to home, yeah, we're going to go ahead and put him on the board because no one's offered him. Pass coverage guy, we don't care that someone has offered him. We're going to put him on the board. Right tackle, I just got 2, like I said. So even though I think pass protectors do a pretty good job of getting better, I don't think I'm going to do that. A deep threat wide receiver, I think we have to go ahead and do that anyways, even though it looks like somebody's going after him. Hybrid free safety, as much as I would love to, I don't know if I can. I'll probably come back to him after I consider it a little bit more. Just looking through some of these guys to see what we got. Looks like 2 people went after him, but no one went after this guy. So even though he's got a deal breaker for playing, we're going to do that because I don't want to get in the weeds with 2 people. We're going to try and stay, you know, out of the way with some of these guys. But we're also okay. I think those are the 5 stars that I want to give I want to take a chance on. We're going to go ahead and put him on the board as well. Which will give me an opportunity to look at 8 more 4 stars. And I know also we'll look at it and I'll think about it because I may. Let's see, Central Michigan, I don't care. We're going to go ahead and go after. We got to at least take a peek, I think, for some of those guys, you know. Route runner. Bowling Green's not going after him, and we need receivers. I don't think I want a speed rusher, and Bowling Green's already first on him. So I don't think we're going to go after him. He's got a deal breaker with playing time. I don't think I care for that. We're going to put another quarterback. Like I said, I don't like some of the quarterbacks on my roster, and we're going to move them around. So they will take over probably some of these other positions. That's the reason why you keep seeing me click on some of those guys at quarterback. Let's see. I'd love to go after him. But what I really need for these last 2, at least, and I'm going to sort it, I really need to get some receivers. And I don't really care what they are. They could be athletes like this guy, or they can be deep threats. And somebody's going after that deep threat. Put him on the board. I'm going to look and see how many other deep threats we have that were available to me, because I may add him to the board. I'm definitely going to add that guy to the board, no doubt, without question, because he's from Ohio, and I think that gives us a decent chance to potentially get him. We'll probably also add him to the board. Add him to the board, I believe. Well, and the reason why I'm going to add so many deep threats to the board, as I've said, and we're going to go ahead and take him off. That's a 5-star athlete, but again, it is, what's it called? Playing time that killed that, so we don't want to do that. And we're going to go back to receiver, and we're going to find. Let me find the guy that I saw before. So. Looks like somebody must be recruiting, or did I just imagine? I thought that he had a 0 next to him until right now, but maybe not. I might be losing my mind. But what I'm going to do on, let's see. Is there a way for me? Okay. So I have 410 recruiting hours. So what I want to do with some of these receivers is I'm going to partially scout them, because I want to see if it's going to give me any indication on how fast they are. And for him, not really. 95 acceleration with the takeoff, I think that's going to be more than enough for us. Let's see what this physical receiver looks like. 93, I mean, and he's a 4-star. So we'll see about that scrambling quarterback. I don't think he's going to be as fast as I maybe would want. 90 acceleration. He's not quite as fast either as I would want, but we're going, I mean, if we can get him, relatively easy, we're going to try that. Let's see about this guy. Again, not quite enough for us to work with. This dude's going to be fast, and he's got headstrong. Yes, this absolutely would be a guy that we would love to have. His headstrong helps us with hot routes and audibles and things like that. We know he's a 92 acceleration, and I would say there's probably a good chance he's going to at least be a 91 speed. So absolutely, we want this guy 100% of the time if we can get him. And I don't think there's really a need for us to scout him any more than that. This guy, we got nothing on him, speed, acceleration, anything like that. So because we have the points to sit here and scout, we're going to go ahead and see. And yeah, he's a 97 speed, absolutely. Because we got to have some guys who can get down the field. Just trying to double check and see if there's anybody else that I just really kind of want to know about. Like I said, I think he's going to be fast enough. Him, I don't know if he's going to be as fast as we would want. But I'll let it slide for now. I think he's going to be fine. No, I don't want to exit recruiting. I think he's going to be fast enough. Well, let's look at him real quick. 97 speed as well. His acceleration isn't what we want, but I think we can make do with that. So I think ultimately what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through, because this is, what's it called? This is the first week, and I'm just going to offer everybody as well. And while I'm doing this, I'll talk about some of the players that we look at and why I want some of these people. And it's like at quarterback, obviously, I know people say field general increases the most, but I've seen where you get athlete quarterbacks, and they are faster. And at the end of the day, that's what I prefer to have at quarterback is some of those speed guys, and then you can move them back, and sometimes they'll turn into a field general, so you get the best of both worlds. So that's kind of like my thought process in it is getting some people who are fast. Do that. Running back, I prefer the power backs, and right now I know I don't have really a ton that I'm looking at, but we're looking to see how many of these guys we're actually going to keep on for next week, and I'm tempted to take some of these 3-star guys off, knowing that we didn't end up with any of them. And let's just go back and look. I'm going to take him off the board. Off the board. I know now that's like a waste of points in some respects, but as long as we have the points, you can never have too many offensive linemen, in my opinion. And we're going to look as well. Before I rip this joker off the board, I'm going to scout him real quick. 84 speed. Knowing what he's going to be with all that, we will probably take him off the board as well. And then we're going to leave the offensive lineman for now in hopes that maybe we can get some of those guys without having to do a whole lot. And then that leaves us, with a few. It looks like we took 5 off the board. And we got 225 hours, so we can add some more. 4 and 5 stars. On. No. Question is, do I want any of these guys? I would love to sit here and throw my name in the hat for that. But with some of these guys, I don't, like I said, I don't want to be in this huge recruiting battle. That I think I can avoid if I go about it a different way. So I think for now I've kind of seen some of what I want to see at quarterback. So why did I just click 3 stars? So let's see about running back. Because at running back, so I told you I want to go for an athlete quarterback, and then I'll move him around and see if he develops a little bit better. At running back, it's the opposite. Like I want power back guys. Now he's 6 foot 225, and the reason why I'm not just blown away with that is because I prefer, like, the guy that I moved to defensive end was 6'2", 200 and something pounds. So I'm looking to see if like a 5'9", 232. I wouldn't feel good about him being on like the defensive line. And so to me, 5'11", 225, still probably a little small. So if I can get someone who's 6'2" and move them to the defensive line, I feel better about that. And I don't think size and weight matter as much on this game as it probably should. So you could probably be fine with some of those guys. See, like this dude is someone who is more of like, okay, you could put him on the defensive line. But there's so many see, like a 6'2", 228 right there. And so I'll come back to the 3 stars. Like I said, I just wanted to show that they're out there. Bigger guys that you can move to the defensive line. I'll come back and I'll look at those later because that's not what I want to do in week 1. Is sit here and try and figure that out. So for 4 stars, there's only 2 wide receivers that are athletes, and we went after the guy that we could get as a 5-star receiver. Or at least try to get. And then I'm looking to see, because I know there were more deep threats on here. Or at least I believe there were. Pro potential, dang. That's a deep threat. That's a deep threat. And the reason why I like to look at the deep threat receivers is very simply, and honestly, we didn't really even look to see who's going after them. Honestly, the reason why I want to know something about these deep threat receivers, what is his playing time? And we're going to leave him here for a second, maybe? No, we didn't even offer him a scholarship, I don't believe. So, yeah. So if he's already upset, then we're going to go ahead. We're going to remove him. We'll go find someone else in a minute. But we are going to look. He looks like he's going to be fast. I have the ability to scout these people all the way through. 96 speed. Should be plenty with a silver recoup, a gold recoup as well. Takeoff, I was about to say, we know he's going to have a certain threshold. We don't have everything there. 94, which is pretty fast. I think what I'm going to do is let me look. I still have 175 hours. I think I'm going to scout every single one of these receivers all the way through. Normally, I'll try and save points and do all that, but I don't really see the need, I guess, in doing that, because then we get to learn that this guy is a bust, and so that means his Development trade most likely is probably not going to be the greatest. None of those guys were, what's it called? So we're going to take that guy out. None of these guys have been gems so far, which is a little annoying. And then we got a gem right there, so we will look at him. Let's do this. So we scouted everybody for the most part with one gem. I could scout these two all the way, but I don't think that that's going to necessarily do us much good. Let's see how many points we have left. 135. And I keep doing that and then like taking the camera down and doing all that, but that's because I'm too lazy to move the camera and I don't know the quick way to do that. So, is there anybody else that I just want to scout real quick? Scout all those guys later. So let's just start with them. These other 5 stars. I'm curious to see if he's a gem. Why not? He's not, but he's still going to be on the roster. He's so fast. I really like this guy, so I'm going to do everything in my power to try and get him. Let's see what this guy's like. Oh. Go 3 times for him. I'm not as blown away by him as maybe I would have liked to have been. But like I said, we're going to already like this guy. Mainly because he is a 90 strength, and I feel like strength is one of the most important ratings, at least for what I look for in an offensive lineman. Because I think he'll switch from an agile to a power offensive lineman if I want him to. Ooh, interesting. I'll leave him on there. And I maybe should have even considered. Ooh. We'll see if anybody's going after those guys, but that tells me that I don't have to spend some of those points on some of those guys because there's a chance that they're not going to quite work out as well. So I'll get them if I can. Oh, am I out of points? I got 5 points. And I think I have the ability to go get 2 prospects. So we will go back to the 4 stars. And let's look and see if there's any agile centers that I want. Coaching prestige. Proximity to home. Do I want this guy? Let's actually, because I wasn't impressed with that linebacker I saw. Let's look at this. What is it? Run stopper. Athlete. Everybody and their sisters going after him. Pass coverage, coaching prestige, pass coverage, championship contender. Championship contender. Playing time. Coach prestige. Does everybody who plays linebacker have a, what's it called? A deal breaker? Alright, let's look at this guy. Proximity to home run stopper. Absolutely no one's going after him, which makes it 30 times better. We got a good playing style on him, so I'm probably going to get him. Championship contender, coaching prestige. And like I said, for some of these, I don't really care, like coaching prestige and championship contender, but that's a playing style guy. Dang, I wish I knew who offered this scholarship versus who offered this scholarship so that I could know which one of these guys I would want to go after. I don't think it's going to tell me by just clicking them, but because he's the better one for now, he's one in state, one at position, I'm going to go ahead and put him on the board. Although I don't want to look real quick at outside linebacker and see. Yeah, I'm just going to be locked out of him either way. Looks like I can possibly be locked out of all those guys either way. Power rusher. I don't know if I want to get the power rusher. I'll just say a run stopper. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back and get that run stopper, and I'm going to take, even though it really doesn't matter, I don't want to forget the run stopper when I'm looking at this next. So I'm going to go ahead and get the run stopper outside linebacker now. Because I don't mind having run stoppers, and I have a pipeline boost for that. So, and then I'm going to offer this middle linebacker, though. I'm going to offer him a scholarship because I can see Bowling Green ain't even going after him, and I believe that will conclude like our preseason recruiting. But like I said, I wanted to show that quarterback athletes, to me, are the way to go just because of their speed, and you can move people around to get them field general and some of that other stuff that would make it more beneficial, like for the development and things like that. Power backs, especially if they have speed, are what I prefer, because I think you can always move a receiver if you want someone who's a little more agile anyways, because receivers also cap out terribly. So I go power backs because of the potential to play on defense as well as be your running back. Fullbacks I never recruit. Tight ends I don't really recruit. I added one possession tight end, which you guys saw, because he can play some defense, just to see if he would commit. Probably won't throw too many points on him, if any, throughout the season, unless he's just kind of steadily going up and I got points at the end of the year. A receiver, though, I go after deep threats exclusively. Like, I want fast guys on the team, and I think that there's a lot of benefit to having them, whether they're playing receiver for you, and I have a decent amount of receivers, at least 3, I think, graduating this year. So I have a lot of receivers to replace. And so that's the reason why I went so heavy on receiver, but I also think it's a very important position because I'm certainly short on players at that position, playmakers who can help out. And as you saw, I didn't get many gems out of the people that I scouted. So receivers, and then that's deep threat guys, and then athletes, because they can move to tight end or to corner or safety or something like that. And then sometimes, like I said, I had that safety that moved down to middle linebacker. So I think that athlete receivers can kind of play all over the field as well. And so I love those guys also. And I'll put more emphasis on that when I can look at some of these 3 stars as well, and see what I can bring in. So that's the reason why we went heavy on deep threats early, especially at 4-star level. Offensive line, I think pass protectors, I've seen it where they say those are the ones that develop the best. I prefer getting the agile guys because I want athletic jokers. A lot of times, though, when you move the agile center over, he will end up turning into a power player, which isn't the end of the world, except for their strength sometimes is a little iffy on how they do them. Because, like I said, I think strength is one of the most important things for an offensive lineman, just to get that strong grip, especially if he's going to be a power guy. So that's something to consider. But I really, to me, just get offensive linemen. I don't really care what they are. You saw I added power guys, agile guys, and pass protector guys. I don't care. I just know that offensive line is always important in the trenches. If I could get good 4 stars, then I'm fine with anything on the defensive line. I prefer power rushers, I think, from the defensive end spot, and I prefer bigger guys who can move to D tackle, because ultimately at defensive end you have the option for the power running backs, which are very fast, and I think that they're very important in the nickel stuff. And then you can kind of mix and match a defensive end a little bit better than you probably can a D tackle. D tackles, like I said, I want the end to be able to play at least 2 spots, which is end and tackle. So if he's not quite what I'm looking for at defensive end, at least I can move him to tackle, and he's almost 300 pounds. If you get a light guy and he's, you can find a light guy who's a linebacker who's 6'4", 240. So I don't want a 6'4", 240 defensive end that I can only play at defensive end, because he's going to be a terrible linebacker too. So that's kind of my thought on the ends, is I prefer to get someone who's a little bigger who can maybe move to defensive tackle if I don't like them at end. Because I can find more ends by getting linebackers in here that I wasn't, blown away with when I finally had them on the team. Linebackers, again, if I can get man coverage and run stoppers, those are the guys who are a little bit more manageable to actually play linebacker. But like I said, power rushers, you can move to end. And you can with run stoppers as well if they're big enough. And again, size and like height and weight, I haven't seen that matter as much as it probably should. But just for the sake of me being able to sleep at night and not have a 5'11", 220-pound defensive end, where I feel like if someone is smart enough to recognize that and run at them, then I think that that's an issue, right? And so for example, I have in this Dynasty, and I know I'm going on all kinds of tangents in this, but I think it's something worth considering. One of the coaches in this, Northern Illinois, has some players that he moved around and did kind of the same thing with power or running backs and everything else. Well, this dude is 5'10", 233 pounds. He's the best defensive tackle on his team, but he's not starting him. Why? Because he's 5'10" and 233 pounds with an 86 strength, which is one of the highest on his team. But he's actually starting this guy because he's 6'4", 290. And so if he were starting this guy, and then he would turn around and start, some of these other guys he has, like this guy's 6'2", 248, and he's got another 6'2", 235. He doesn't have anybody on the defensive line who's over 250 pounds hardly. If he started that guy as well, and with kind of some of the stuff he has, and none of his guys are just blow you away strong either. So he's got a good football team, and I know he's going to make adjustments. But like I said, he told me that he's starting this guy instead of this guy just because he's still afraid of that height and weight a little bit. And so that's where I think you got to just consider it a little bit. I don't know how impactful it is. I really think it probably doesn't matter much. But at the same time, I would hate to find out when the 6'4", 320-pound lineman is blocking this joker that it actually does matter, and this guy's getting put on his back play after play. Because I think when you're pass rushing, it doesn't matter nowhere near as much as when you're trying to stop somebody in the run. And if you got somebody that small, I think that you might be in trouble. So that's just my thoughts on it. Like I said, we went over some of the things I look at. I've heard slot corners improve the best. I prefer zone from my scheme standpoint. Because that's what I do is I run a lot of zone in my plays, and so I just want someone who's good at that. But slot corners will be more balanced between the two, obviously. And man-to-man doesn't really fit me because I don't run it a lot, and it's mainly because I haven't seen a lot of success from it. If I thought, I can get a lot of these guys in very quickly who are high speed and high man coverage and make that work, then I would certainly switch over to that as well. And I might do that in the future, but at this point, it's just easier to get the zone guys out there. See if someone can read a defense and get the ball out in the right spot without having to know, this person's chasing this person, let me put it on. So that's my thoughts. Like I said, I think you can move your physical guys to safety and everything like that. So that's a whole different ball game and position changes. But that's the reason why, like I said, though, I'm very heavy on recruiting receivers. I'm very heavy on recruiting linebackers and pieces like that, more so than sitting here and going through corners and all these safety positions and all that. We can get to those later. I want to make sure that receivers are covered because that's something that I have neglected in the Dynasty, and I feel like it's such an important part because if you don't have guys who can get open, you don't have a passing game. And then I think you always have to have a quarterback that hopefully is developing. And if you can find that and you can find a couple, then your quarterback's always safe. Whether you get someone who's hurt, who transfers, who does this or that, like then you have at least someone who's got you. And then, like I said, running backs. To me, it's all about getting the playmakers on offense, and then you can use athletes to fill out the defense, and the athletes work perfectly fine. I haven't seen my defense. You can get the 4 stars and the 5 stars that you can get. It doesn't matter what archetype. Just get 4 and 5 stars to fill out that roster and get improvement from development traits and all that, and you can put them in spots to make them successful. But I would say, yes, that's the most important thing is get your 4 and 5 stars because that also gives you a chance at top classes. Get those. After that, when you start to pick and choose a little bit, pick and choose and probably get some playmakers on offense, and then you can move people to defense. And that'd be the route I go for recruiting. So you got to see a little bit of what's going on with my recruiting and some things that I think are important. That doesn't mean that, like, I got the end-all, be-all, I'm correct, and you guys are not. That's just some observations that I've seen from doing an online dynasty against 4 other people who are in the same area that I'm at, recruiting some of the same people I'm recruiting, and figuring out some of the same things that I'm figuring out. And so that's what I've seen work. So if it works in an online dynasty, I firmly believe that it works even better in like a solo offline dynasty, whatever you want to say. So like I said, 4 and 5 stars are even easier to get in that one. And we've all been going after because of championship contender, coach and prestige, pro potential, all this other stuff. We've been locked out on some of the same guys, which gives us a very small window of people that we can get after. And so that's made it less like we have yet to have someone who has a top 5 class or whatever. We've had a few, I think, top 10s and top 25s for sure. But everyone in the dynasty might have had a top 25 at this point, maybe. But we've been going after some of the same 4 and 5 stars that makes it really hard to push that next level. So that's what I would say is go after those guys if you can. Get that stuff to where you can get to top class and get the best prospects. But again, after that, or as you continue to be able to say, okay, the field is wide open for me, what should I get? Then you start specializing in what works for you. And like I said, for me, it seems like playmakers on offense, where you have either the pick of the litter for deep threats and then athletes, power backs, and physical receivers. Because, like I said, if they don't work out a receiver, tight end, running back, then you always can move them to defense, and they work phenomenally on that side of the ball. And then you fill in guys with the transfer portal, with zones, all that, and, your offensive line, everything else. So that would be my advice on what to do with this. I know I kind of went in circles, I feel like, and long-winded, but hopefully you guys were able to bear with me and maybe pick up something. But if you got something for me to definitely learn from, put that in the comments. Let me know what's going on and ways that I can certainly get better. I'd love to improve and get my roster even better against the guys that I'm playing against in this dynasty. So I'm going to try and do a few more of these and see to varying levels of success. I'm going to do a smaller one, I think, on custom schedules right now, on, again, some of the things that I've learned, and just kind of throw these out into the void and see if it works for anybody else. But thank you guys for checking it out, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one.